Every time I think that I'm the only one who's lonely, someone calls on me. Every now and then I spend my time at climbing for some crystal falls.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. This is Rocken Locken with Pleiadian Express Productions, Pleiadian Talk. I'm joined today with Jane Hermstad out of Norway, a fellow admin in the Pleiadians group. And we've also got joining us too, Zureida is here. She is the admin for Pleiadian South Africa, and we're just going to talk about some things. We're going to go over, Jane was kind enough to prepare a list for us of some of the top questions that are asked by people coming into the group, as far as, you know, when is Ascension going to be, what kind of starseed am I going to be, what kind of starseed am I, if I can get that right. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And first of all, before we go to Jane Hermstad in the land of the midnight sun, Norway, Zureida, how are you, sweetie?
I'm good, thank you. Greetings from South Africa.
You too as well. Jane, the land of the midnight sun and probably sometimes the morning and afternoon sun as well. How are you, hon?
I'm great. Greetings from Norway.
Okay, well, jazzy, jazzy, groovy, groovy. Okay. So basically what we wanted to get into, start talking about is, you know, and I know Jason and I had talked about this on a previous show, some of the questions that are asked, you know, by people coming into the group, and it seems like we get a redundancy of them being asked, but yet they're things that need to be answered. So, Jane, what do you think we ought to tackle first? What is the biggest question that you see that you get? And, you know, keep in mind these are all vague questions. We're not talking anything complicated, but, you know, should we hit the starseed issue first? Like, what kind of starseed are we, or, you know, the ascension date, or just, you know, what's your take on it, Jane? I'm slipping here. Cover me. Take over for me.
Yeah, whatever you want, whatever you please. It's a lot of questions, and the idea from the beginning was the broadcast you and Jason did, where this was Jason's idea, really. If I'm not so mistaken, I heard.
Well, it was my idea, but I only had 5 questions. Jason said we should expand it to 20, so it was really Jason's idea. In fact, most of the brain ideas are Jason's, and he lets me rip them off from him, but it's all good. It's all in the family.
Well, I ripped it off. I took it. I've stolen it, and I did something about it. I didn't see anyone doing it, so, and I felt a real need of explaining things to people, and I felt this need of giving some answers and yeah, pretty much sum up the questions. And there's lots of questions, and they are frequently asked. Yeah, just let us start with.
Yeah, you know, and just to kind of touch over, I've got the notes right in front of us here. You know, people will ask things like, you know, when do we ascend? What are ascension symptoms? You know, when is the critical mass awakening taking place? What star family am I? And I think that when we talked in the pre-show, Jane, you pretty much had a good saying that basically all these things come down to love.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and, expand on that a bit.
Yeah, when you read, I will post this on to the Pleiadian group, and I think what all these questions sum together, it's all about love. Whatever subject I'm touching, whatever question you have, it's always about love. Even if it's sickness, even if it's meditation, drugs, peace, diseases, medications, food, water, syndromes, whatever you have for me, I will answer it with love.
Right.
Love is the answer to everything, whatever you ask. If you can take it from your heart and really feel the loving feeling, that is the answer. If you can seek within and find your own heart, the core of your heart, that will be the answer always.
It is the answer, and I think my third favorite Beatle, John Lennon, after George Harrison and Paul McCartney, said that all you need is love. And really, it's true.
Yeah, that's true. all comes down to is love, whatever you do. So you can do it easy, and we can stop the show and just say it's love. But then again, I think all these questions that I made and took out of the questions that the members of the Pleiadian group is having, I think it deserves an answer. You always have to give an answer to a question, or you will search for it somewhere. I have been searching for it, and I came up with lots of links and videos from YouTube, and there's lots of answer. It's just different angles of the truth coming out, and you need to find it within yourself. When you find all these answers and you seek up even more answers, you will be confused. But you need to take all that and seek within yourself and find your own answer.
You know, but right. And not to interrupt you, but what starts happening, though, is when you do that research, right, then, you know, what I found, too, is my Pleiadian guides, and Michelle Walling talks about this, too, is that her guides will start directing her where to go almost. You know what I mean? Like you stumble upon some information, and, you know, you may be looking for something else on YouTube or Googling it, and then you come upon something else and it answers it for you. Or, you know, your guides just subtly direct you to where you need to go, and use discernment. And the bottom line is there's plenty of information out there. When we all started awakening, you know, I mean, I just poured over hours and hours and hours of Pleiadian stuff, anything I could read, Bringers of the Dawn, the Earth Living Library, Pleiadian Agenda with Han Clow, you know, Billy Meyer, a little bit of Billy Meyer stuff, you know, most of Billy Meyer stuff, you know, exactly. We don't need to get into Bill. That's another subject that's off limits. We don't talk Billy Meyer. It's too complex. But you know, I mean, it's out there, though, and whatever resonates with you, and there's plenty of stuff that resonates with you, and it's like I don't mind answering questions for people for days on end, but sometimes I just get the vibe that maybe they haven't, you know, done any research or, you know, whatever, and, you know, I guess the best thing we can do is direct them, like Jason and I were saying, direct them to Google or YouTube or whatever they want to try to find out. Zureida, do you have any, I know you're just kind of in here to observe and listen, hon, do you have any thoughts on that, like, you know, I mean, like when you first started, whenever that was thinking about this stuff, did you find yourself doing a lot of research and looking stuff up?
Yeah, I absolutely did. And also I think talking about our guides guiding us, you know, I kind of just follow the synchronicities and happened upon kind of, you know, the various sites and the various Facebook pages. And I was, you know, just commenting on something Jane was saying, is I think it's also about, you know, finding what you resonate with. And finding the kind of other people that are resonating on a similar frequency, and then allowing your guidance to kind of keep you going in the direction that you need to learn more, if that makes sense.
No, it's totally, you just articulated it better than I ever could. That's exactly what it does, and that's exactly what happens. And when you take that route, yeah, exactly. It's the information is out there, and there's plenty of it out there, and, you know, you can use your own discernment, and like you're saying, your guides will start directing you where to go and where to flow with, and you find something you don't resonate with, we'll move on, you know, and it's like that, you know.
Absolutely, and I think with a lot of people, you know, just talking about all the details about, sometimes, you know, we get a bit too caught up in those details, and I think we get sunk into our third dimensional way of approaching it, because it might be in a different dimension, things are happening for different people that are resonating in that dimension at the time. So, you know, if we get a bit too hung up on when and where and dates and times, we can lose things and then lose the point of it, which is just to keep expanding really and evolving.
Yeah, when the ironic thing is time is an illusion outside of 3D. It doesn't exist, so it's really hard to, you know, I know my Pleiadian guides and some of the more famous channelers, they will tell you it's almost like they don't understand time because time doesn't exist like it does here to them. Mm-hmm. It's interdimensional and all at once. It's not going to happen on May 1st at what, you know, I mean, you're right, we generalize it and box it into 3D. All these issues that we're bringing up, people have a tendency to box into a 3D solution and just want it, they don't, you know, they just want the answer, but when the answer is it's so simple, but yet it's so endless. I don't know. Janie, what do you think?
I'm just listening, and
Zoreida's brilliant.
I can resonate with all the stuff that you're saying, both of you, and I think it's the 3D stuff. It's like the everyday things that you do. I'm living more and more in the now moment, and
Here.
I think that's a problem. Having all this coming together, it's living in the now and the vastness of everything is a little bit hard, because when you live in the now moment, you want to do it completely, and then you forget the rest of the list that you have to do during the day. So I'm having a hard time with that. As you can also say, being forgetful for all the rest of the stuff
Oh, big time.
yeah.
Big
And
time.
it has nothing to do with being forgetful, but it has to do with that you are coming more and more together and living in the now moment, giving your best and your 100% to everything that you do. And that is very important, because in that way you lose track of time, you lose some time, you're getting sort of younger because you live in now. So you're losing some time. It means that you don't get any older in that time.
Well, yeah, Zoreida, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, Zoreida, do you find that okay, like we've all grown up, like, okay, we feel like we're a little bit different, but it's one thing, we all kind of click in these groups and everything, like, but in 3D land, the people we're around, it seems like they're almost living in a whole nother lower dimension than we are. I mean, Zoreida, do you have any thoughts on, like, people around you? Do you feel like you're alone on an island, or do you have a lot of awakened people around you, like in a physical sense?
I do. I mean, I have kind of grown up feeling like I'm on an island. And I think it's just recently that I've begun to find more and more people. And thankfully, you know, thanks to the internet and the groups, I'm able to connect with people like you, and that, you know, really helps so much. In a physical 3D sense, yes, absolutely, such an intense contrast, which can be quite difficult, because I sometimes find I get sort of sucked into the third dimensionalness of people around you, especially when they're loved ones, especially when they're family members. You know, and I'm sure it's something we all kind of struggle with at times. But thankfully, I'm a psychotherapist, and I've got sort of quite a few clients that resonate and come find me, and we, you know, I'm introducing them more and more to these kinds of ideas, and they're resonating with it. So slowly, you know, I'm starting to find some more people in my kind of physical reality that resonate. But thank goodness for these groups. So thank you to you both, because it does make such a big difference.
You just hit on something. So, you know, in the line of work you're in and the people that you're dealing with, are you seeing, that's interesting, are you seeing this change kind of in front of your eyes slowly then with people, like over the last couple of years? Do you think it's finally starting to kick in a little more? Like you said, with clients, are people starting to kind of turn the tide and be a little bit more open to some of these thoughts, whereas like a few years ago they probably would have took your license from you? No, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. More and more people, and I think part of what I realize is that my work, you know, as a light worker, is not just as a therapist, but very much as a teacher. So slowly, kind of introducing this idea of, you know, being an alien. And it's interesting how many of my clients, especially the most resonant souls, are kind of going, yes, oh my God, you know, yes, that really makes sense to me. So I agree, people slowly but surely. I think here in South Africa, I don't know, we're kind of weird. We outside of a lot of the mainstream European, American things, but we get a lot of that information. So we are up to date with all the latest, you know, things that are happening in the so-called West. But at the same time, and we're quite progressive, so it's kind of weird that we would be so slow on the uptake as well. So sometimes it can be, there's some amazing people, South Africans, that are kind of very in the same kind of resonant place, but, you know, we're also in a weird way kind of slow on the uptick.
It sure presents an interesting paradox, doesn't it, what you're saying? That sounds very interesting because you guys are removed. You're there, and yet, wow, that sounds like a very unique place to be considering all that. I mean, you know, the West is kind of all in a box, you know, the Eastern European countries, you know, you think the same kind of thing, but you guys kind of are away from that, but yet you have that being fed into you, that, you know, that pop culture from the West. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to think about that a lot because that does make perfect sense. I mean, geographically and, you know, for every other kind of reason, you know.
I think a lot of people think because we're from, you know, deepest, darkest Africa, we know nothing, and we all live in huts and ride elephants to sort of school and work and that kind of thing. And of course, you know, people come here and then they're like, oh, it looks just like any other kind of city.
Yeah, where's the elephants that ripped off in the brochure for the vacation? I don't see people ride. Yeah, no.
I know. When I thought I was coming here, you know, to South Africa as a Pleiadian, I know I was completely disappointed. I mean, if I had elephants, I think things would be a lot better for me.
They probably would. The rest of the townspeople probably wouldn't like it, but you'd have it. Have you ever had any of your family though think you were a little weird though, Zureida? Like.
Yes, most definitely, and I've often, you know, felt like I don't, obviously, like we all do, belong in this family. So when I started kind of having resonance with the Pleiadian stuff last year, and then just in the last few months, since about February, it's just been coming thick and fast, and you know, kind of now having a much clearer sense of where home is. You know, has helped a huge amount. I feel like it's okay. I'm not actually from planet Earth, so it's okay.
Here's a question, next question, and I always ask everybody this because it's the case to a T with people that get into the Pleiadians. Now, before you started to kind of resonate with them, right, had you ever, but maybe I never had remembered it, but had you really ever heard of the Pleiades or the Pleiadians before, like say 2 years ago? Had you ever heard the term before?
I think I only knew of it as the constellation.
Right. That's the only one that people that do know have heard. But had you ever heard of Bringers of the Dawn, Barbara Marciniak, Billy Meyer? Had you ever heard of any of that stuff that you know of? Because it's like this, all that information's out there, but it's really weird how you don't find it or hear about it until you're ready. And I've got a photographic memory and am into everything, and I just cannot believe for the life of me that until and to a T almost everybody says that, and if they had heard of it, it's because they just heard of the star cluster at one point. No, but I mean, before that, I mean, I had never even heard of Barbara Marciniak, I don't think.
I think she may have kind of crossed somewhere along the line, but definitely I can't remember anything else in the last 2 years either. It's definitely last year sometime that I first started feeling I think I may have read one of the starseed articles someone had posted on Facebook, Are You a Starseed? And I might have found that. But the real kind of connection has happened in the last few months.
Can you pinpoint it at all? Because I can with mine, like what, it was the weirdest thing, what set mine off. Do you remember, was it when you first heard the term Pleiadians, not the star cluster, but like in the last year, were you watching something? Were you listening to something? Is it something you stumbled across particular? Or can you remember, or was it just a chain of events that...
I'm trying to remember. I think it was... I always have my best synchronicities on Facebook, and I think it was somebody posting one of the starseed characteristic articles, and then I found the in5D website.
Right.
And
much love.
Then I started...
Hi, boss.
Then started following that and read more of the articles, and then I just followed the trail. So I can't, and often when I get into that space, I also can't remember. It's like when I'm channeling, I can't always remember, what's come through, or the chronological, so-called, of course, because we go multiple dimensional, so of course it isn't chronological then.
Right, you're in pure consciousness mode at that point, and the greats talk about it. I mean, even like was somebody asked Eric von Däniken, the great Eric von Däniken, the author of Chariots of the Gods, they asked him if he channeled, and he said no, he didn't channel, but what happens is that when he writes, he gets into a consciousness flow from his guides, and even when he's done writing, sometimes he'll be like, damn, did I write that? Wow. He just gets into a flow, you know.
It's like that, yeah. It's like that stream of consciousness feeling, where you can feel stuff just coming through you, and you're kind of conscious of it, but also not. Yeah.
I think it's what they call the zone. People throw that key term out there a lot. I'm in the zone. I think that's really what in the zone is about. You're really, you're out of time. You're in your multidimensional self, and you're just going on. And I bet Jane's just sitting back, just kicking back, listening. Jane, have you defected to Sweden, or what's going on over there in Norway, or are you?
I'm doing some notes because there are so many pictures, words, and everything that's coming up in my mind whilst listening to you. And I'm thinking about what catched my idea of this Pleiadian group, or where did I come from for the starters. And I think that what triggered me was the inner knowing when I heard Wayne W. Dyer. He had this talk about the power of intention, and I looked at his videos on YouTube, and also it was everything coming together with all those words, all these arts, all these pictures. And I was thinking also about the videos that I saw and heard of, and also about knowing the vastness, the Earth, and the vastness of the cosmos, universe, galaxies, planets, and all this. And also this guy saying that you have to be pretty arrogant, thinking that you are the only intellectual being in the vastness of cosmos that is infinite. It's so, there is no start and no ending. And if you can picture that in your head, if you can imagine, if you can contemplate how it is, how it looks like, you are not even a dot on a paper looking into the vastness of the space. You will be gone. This planet will be gone. So thinking about how small we are, and then how arrogant at the same time, thinking that we are the only ones that are intellectual beings. And also the divinity, because that was really my start, you know, looking for all this, was going through different religions and searching for and trying to be within it and not finding it, and all the disappointment in it. I have been on top of everything in so many different religions, and wanting to believe it, but never getting the satisfaction in it. And I think that my personal life crisis draw me and dragged me into this. And there was a great awakening from being very, very into deep depression, and going from a broken marriage and traveling so far up north. And again, I'm very fortunate coming from a place where there is trees and there is sea and there is water and there is so much nature, and the nature woke me up. And this is it's the details of the nature, just looking into a leaf on a tree and understanding that you are one with this is a living being, and going into meditation and into a state of understanding that you are, this is life. You cannot just pick a flower. If you pick up the flower from the ground thinking that it's so nice, I want to have this flower, it's going to be nice the moment you see it, on the place you see it. But if you pick it up and bring it home, it won't, be that nice anymore.
It's wilted by the time you get it home. It really isn't. As the planet shifts into a higher vibration, too, you see that these things are coming more to life. Colors are becoming more vibrant. Plant colors are becoming more vibrant. Not to mention here, the Pleiadian orbs that come down into the trees, especially at night, and the face orbs. And it's not only that, too. It's just that they're becoming more alive and ascended, just like we are. And I want to touch upon something else you said, Jane, about it resonating. It's something that you always known. It's a deep resonance within you that maybe a word triggered you to remember it. And I know that kind of stuff is talked about by Barbara Hand-Clow and talked about by Marciniak, and that something will trigger you to remember what you are and to start that journey back to who you were, you know, and into what you are and the greatness that you are. But it's always something like that happens to us, that we get triggered. And then, you know, it's just starting to happen to more and more people, and you find that our stories are all similar. Some of the things may change as far as the 3D circumstances, but yeah, it just seems like it's an inner remembrance that we're remembering once we get triggered, you know. And I'm just really grateful for everybody too, and everybody in the groups, that it's so nice to be able to share these stories with people and hear other people that have gone through the same thing, and they're kind of on that same journey too, you know, of us being more aware and more just conscious of everything. You know, we're just consciousness, and it's not like, okay, our brains are opening more, but it's not like, okay, well, we're going to be a whole bunch smarter. Well, that'll go along with it, but we're more aware of the life around us, the life that's in the air. Everything is life. And especially when you go out in nature, Jane, like, you know, I know that you're a big nature fan, and you just, you get in tune with it, and it's alive, and it's becoming more and more alive and noticeable as the veil's thinning, and we're going through this shift on this big mothership called Mother Gaia. Speaking of Mother Gaia, speaking of the motherland, Africa, Zureida, what do you think?
I'm just nodding away furiously as Jane was speaking. And yeah, I mean, it's so much what I felt my whole life as well, exploring, you know, different religions and feeling that disappointment, and that feeling of, you know, the feeling of really being an alien, and knowing that things can be different because we are these multidimensional beings, and knowing that we don't need to buy into third-dimensional things like the money system, or, you know, the so-called economy, which is all just stuff that's made up anyway. And the frustration of that contrast has been very disheartening, and really resonates with what you said about that deep depression as well, Jane. You know, I've also struggled with that a huge amount, just feeling so utterly kind of despondent around the disconnect, you know. And I think finding those parts of home when you start reconnecting with them really helps to lift, you know, one's spirits, and just helps you to kind of find your way in terms of you know, finding the peace within, and the kind of that there's a reason, you know, and that's why I'm here, kind of thing. But here are people that I can connect with that speak my language, to resonate with what you were saying, Larry. You know, that thank goodness when we find each other, that is one of the things from the Buddhist thing around the Sangha that makes such a, you know, finding our communities makes such an important difference in just how we can feel kind of more connected in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I'm still keeping on writing notes there whilst you're talking. And yes, Larry, I'm really into the nature, because we are human beings on this planet now, and that is our understanding. That was our contract to come here to ascend. And I think also we have to know that nothing is ours. We came on Earth. All the things that we have, all the material stuff that we take as ours and we buy and everything, that is from earning on Gaia. Nothing is yours. It belongs to Gaia, and it's going back to her. It's giving life to to our mother, father, Gaia planet. And I think we ought to respect. And by the way, respecting things means to me accepting something and understanding something. And at the moment that you miss out on the two of them, the accepting and the understanding, then you no longer have respect. And in all humbleness, I'm thinking we're different, and we're living in a duality world that everything keeps going, being different. There is limits. We have values, norms, laws, rules, and life is fragile, but it's also very strong. It's amazing how people can survive anything, and it's also amazing how life on Earth as a human being in physical body can be taken away from you in a snap. It really keeps amazing me as a nurse also, to see how strong the heart can be, but also how weak it can be at the same time. And I think
Yin and a yang, yeah.
yes, the yin and the yang. It's all about balancing out everything.
It's even like this concept of time. You know, there is no beginning nor an ending to time. And I know a lot of people have trouble with that concept because they're stuck in that, well, it had to begin somewhere. Well, what was before that? It had to begin somewhere. But the thing about it is this is what I tell people. This is my kind of snarky analogy. I say, look, the universe, time is so old that if you were to hear the number, it would blow your brain up, yet it's only a second ago that it started. It's so old ago you couldn't fathom that number, but yet it's just a second ago in this now moment. It's never ending, and that's how, you know, they talk about the now moment. When you're outside of 3D, you're in the now moment because everything is interdimensional. I tell people it'd be like, okay, you're in your life now, but it'd be like being all-knowing, and it'd be like being able to go in and out of any situation you were ever in your life, and back and forth and in and out all in a second, all in a quicker than light speed of a second of a thought. It's all just happening all at once like that, you know what I mean? And because it's interdimensional, and it's not confined by 3D Earth terms in a low vibration. You know, we're controlled by a clock. You know, get up, go to work. What am I going to have for lunch? Okay, I can't wait to get home because I'm going to go home, and then I'm going to watch Dancing with the Stars or Friends or whatever, you know, boring, mindless show is on TV. And then, okay, well, I got to go to bed. I got to get up. I got to do this again. And I think, too, as we go through this zero time, yes, people still have to work in 3D and all that, but the time is becoming more. Well, time is speeding up, okay? It's pretty much a scientific fact now that a minute is only between 45 and 50 seconds in time-wise versus, sure, it's still 60 on a clock, but versus 5-10 years ago, it's going faster. Now, that's been going on, but what I'm finding, too, guys, is that these now moments that we're starting to be in, they just seem like they're permanent. We're in the now moment now, and it seems like we're all being in the now moment more instead of in that tripping mentality. We're like, oh God, okay, what's going to be on TV next? What am I going to do? I got to go to work tomorrow. What's going to happen in this meeting? Okay, then I'm going to go here for lunch. Then, you know, and you're always constantly never living in that now moment, and you're always thinking about that next step. And I find that that people are doing that less now and really living in the now moment. I don't know about you guys. Zureida, what do you think?
Yeah, I think more and more, but it's quite difficult for people. You know, I always see clients and friends struggling with that idea of, because I think that the denseness of the 3D, you know, kind of is so strong, and people think, well, it must be true and it must be real. So it's a nice idea, fantasy-wise, to think of this sort of multidimensionalness and interdimensionalness and the now moment, but can I trust it, I guess?
Yeah. Exactly. And I think a lot of us were there before we woke up, and it's really a 3-step process. I think starseeds like us were probably born in that second phase where it sounded like a nice fantasy and everything, but then there's some people that they just think it's a bunch of bullshit completely, and then they've got to get to the point where, okay, well, maybe that sounds like a nice phase, and then there's that phase where we're all at now. You're just about at where we're full of that feeling of realizing it's the case of the now moment, you know? So I personally, that's kind of the way I see it, where a lot of us were born in that second step where gosh, it sounded nice, and it could be that way. It's probably that way. And some people are even worse off where they just can't even fathom that it could be that way. Don't everybody rush in at once. Let me guess, Jane's taking notes. Jane, are you rewriting War and Peace over there? I know the U.S. needs a new constitution to be written. Are you writing a new constitution for us? We the people in order to establish a more fucked up union than we have now? No, I'm sorry. We're not censored, so you know I can say those things.
No, I thought I was going into what we were talking about earlier about feeling different, like coming into the moment that you're thinking, I knew it. I just knew it. It was something strange with me. Has been something strange with me all the time because my family acted like it, my parents acted like it, and you've always been a weird person and the person that came up with the strangest ideas and doing all this crazy stuff when you were younger and dragging people into it and coming into trouble and yeah. How about that? It's
yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think too, it's like it can be like that, and then it can even be like for some people, it's just they may not cause a lot of trouble in their family, but they just feel different. Okay, they feel that different, and they don't know. They just, you know, like we don't know. God, something's off, but what is it? You know, it's like you see through the illusion of the news and the bullshit, and you just feel a little different than the rest of your family. You don't know what it is. And then pretty soon what you do is you start manifesting that more and more, and you start becoming more you start like you think your family is different, and then so you start looking that way to them, or it's like you say, you know, you're just kind of the, oh well, they, you know, they can't put their finger on it either. And so, and then before we're awakened, we can't either. So it's like we're all running around in a maze, blindfolded, wondering what, you know. And it's just, yeah, it's like that too.
Yeah, I'm thinking, why were I the only one being the latest to come in the evening, wanting to be looking at the stars, sitting there singing, looking at the northern lights, and wondering why my mother said never shout up at the northern lights because it's moving, it will hit you. And
you're so lucky.
Yeah, I was always doing the wrong stuff because I was always the honest one, the person who said I could. My younger siblings would shut up when the grown-ups were talking, and if I knew something about what they were talking about and I blended into the conversation, it was like I could say the truth. The truth would come out of my mind, and I would feel the elbow of my mother in the side, and she would be going like, shh, why did you say that? You shouldn't have said that. It's the truth. Why shouldn't I say it? I never understood why I couldn't say the truth, because that was the truth. Because no one, and why wouldn't anyone listen to the truth?
Yeah, and people get paranoid like that, and it probably wasn't situations where you were sitting there revealing the biggest, deepest, darkest family secrets. It's just you were giving your opinion, and I was like that too. From the time I was 4, 5, 6 years old, giving my opinion on politics, world issues, and holding my own, and asking those questions even then, and they'd get frustrated, and you know, and I can just say that, shh, don't say that. And I mean, what is exactly you were going to say? I mean, that was going to be so soul shaking. It's like, you know, people get caught in that image of, oh gosh, James did something to embarrass the family, or you know, I don't get it. I've never resonated with it, so God only knows where that mentality comes from. I know it's certainly a lower density, but
yeah, but it could also be the secrets. I would tell the secrets, and I wouldn't understand why it was such a secret. Why was it supposed to be secret? When I knew it, it couldn't possibly be the secret. So I would go on just telling it. So it would embarrass other people, and I wouldn't know why. I didn't understand why.
Well, how old were you though when you finally got that part of it? Because growing up in America, it's kind of a more of a street smart thing. Like you would have known at a young age. Here you kind of, even though you know not to cross that line. But I can understand coming from a more honest culture where you're from, you probably didn't know. But I guess what I'm getting at is how old were you before you and your mom, before you guys quit having those exchanges where you just wouldn't say anything, or did you just become more and more rebellious?
Oh, I became very rebellious, but I knew at point around 12 that I couldn't say anything, and it was a secret because, and I would be embarrassed by saying it because I knew that I would hurt people saying the truth. So, but I've always been the person, like, I get the eye. I would get the eye, even now, because I would say the truth. I don't fucking care. Yeah, I don't fucking... It's in my working place also. If the truth is the truth, then why can't you say it? And if I do,
people that rocks,
I would ask. Yeah, I would ask all the embarrassing questions.
In a staff meeting, you're one of them in a staff meeting. I used to, yeah, you're one of those. Yeah, when I had those staff meetings.
I want to see the reaction of people when they get the truth and when they get all these questions. And I, of course, I've been smarter during this time, being older and all. So I would place it like a question because you can never arrest anyone by coming up with a question. But the question would be awkward for some people in the crowd. But I wouldn't care. That's not my problem. It's their problem. So they have to do something with their selves feeling that way. But I don't feel that way because I'm coming up with the truth. So that's it's my point of view. So if you want to arrest me, come on. Let's have it.
Making that staff meeting run over. I bet you, were you one of those types before you awakened to where you would ask that question even if the meeting was about to wrap up? Anybody got any more questions or further questions? Would you sit there and ask those tough questions and you wouldn't care? You'd keep the meeting going to get an answer if you thought you needed to?
Yes.
Exactly. I can see that.
And I would feel very good if the media was there.
If the media was there?
Yes, I would feel very good if some person who could do something about it, has power to do something about it, would be there, and many people listening to it.
Yeah, and then you realize that was part of the illusion, that those people couldn't do shit about it, nor would they. Now that you're awakened, no, I don't know, but exactly, I see what you mean. If there was an outlet there, you would be more likely to get that voice out, right? You wanted to take advantage of getting it out there and getting it spread to as much as much of an outlet as you could get.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh God, Jane's gonna ask another question. I can just see that. You're one of those.
Yeah, that's the way the reaction would be. Yeah. God.
Zureida, you ever known any of those kind of people in a meeting or anything?
Yes.
It's like we had to watch the clock, get the hell out of here. I got free, when I'm stuck in 3D, I know the game's coming on, and it's like the Lakers are playing in 10 minutes, and I got to get home, and Jane's gonna ask another question. And back when I was stuck in 3D like that, I didn't have any patience, and I wouldn't, I didn't have very much patience for somebody like that and understanding, and I'd almost give them the look of death, like, my God, I got dinner, I've got the game coming on, and I think we're kind of all moving away from that as people that are awakening and coming together to where we don't need to do that, in a situation like this. Jane doesn't need to hold up the meeting. I don't need to get frustrated because I don't give a shit about the game anymore, and so.
Yeah, I would have people feeling really embarrassed, and I got paranoid by this for some time because because I had the feeling of that they were placing the meetings when I couldn't come. When I have been on a night shift, they would place the meeting 9 o'clock in the morning
You'd be
or
a
10
good, I'd say
o'clock in
you'd
the
be a
morning.
good guesser.
Yeah, making sure that I was sleeping so I could be on that meeting. Making
I
an
love the person that did that, that helped with that. No, I'm just saying because I can relate on the other end, and it's both a situation of both looking for the answers, and it's like, that's funny, Jane. Really, I wish I should have thought of that, having the meeting on another shift, or good Lord, you know. Like, come on, Monday Night Football's coming on, and Jane's sitting there. Oh, you know, we got another question, another question, another question, scenarios. We'd call people like you Mr. or Mrs. Scenario. The scenario game.
Maybe I have to find out what star seed I am then. What kind of planet I'm really from.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
there you go. That's a 5D version of that game. Oh well, what kind of yeah, exactly. I can see that question being asked and then it not being good enough. Well, I only resonate with 12 out of 14 of those characteristics. Those other two, those other two, I'm Arcturian, or how'd you know you's a Pleiadian? You know, yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, out of I will try my best to post many different points of view and try to come up with some good answers and some good videos and something to look into to give an answer to the questions, because I really feel that it deserves an answer, or it deserves to be looked into, and people need to know where to find the answers. I understand that.
They do, and that's the thing with that I've just come to like realize in the last couple of weeks, and Jason and I were talking about this, you know, and I kind of even feel bad joking about it now because it's a patience thing, you know. Instead of getting real frustrated with somebody asking that question, you know, I could have just said, hey, welcome to the group, you know, this is what I did, and here's the, you know, some of the links you can look at, and you know, and then you do that and people are grateful. And I think I'm jaded because of the few times maybe I've done that, and then they have a million other scenarios and they don't want to actually go, you know, you get that one person who doesn't want to, you give them, you know, Jane, I know you and I have talked about this, you give them every little piece of it, you practically go do all the research for them and give it to them, and they still don't want to look at it. And I've even done that before one time, you guys, and the person was still like, no, I want to hear it from you. Yeah. Well, what do you want me to read you? Okay, look, come over to the house and I'll read you Bringers of the Dawn. I'll read you a bit, I'll read you all these books one by one.
I wish people could listen to you a little bit more, Larry, because you find so many times that you give them the answer. It's right in front of them. You post a video that gives them the answer to what they're asking for. But they just want to keep on having this conversation down the lines, and they don't even stop looking at what you're posting. And that's all the answer to all this discussion going 50 people down, and you have all these answers. Instead, if every of those 50 people could have looked at the video.
Perfect scenario. Sorry to interrupt you.
All the answers covered.
Exactly, and I've seen you do that time and time again, where you'll go to the trouble of posting an article and a bunch of videos, and then it gets down to 100 posts, and you'll come on and go, you know, you guys, if you would have taken 5 minutes to click on the goddamn video and watch it, well, you wouldn't have spent 5 hours commenting back and forth with each other. But we're so lazy as humans that to take that effort to click it and we know we got to be locked in there and watch that, you know. Whereas if we don't, you know, we could sit there for hours on end, but we don't have that mindset of knowing we're locked in, if that makes any sense.
The other thing I'm thinking about is having the sort of what people look at as a powerful situation, a title. Being an admin means that there is a reason why you are an admin, and obviously it's like having some sort of power, or knowing too much, or knowing almost everything, and still they don't look at it, and some do. And I see now that some people, not everyone knows that I'm an admin. But when I post things, it seems like more and more people understands my situation, my
Role.
type into the group. So they're looking more into it now that I'm saying it. All of a sudden, they look into it as if that even matters. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't even matter, and it's a whole nother level. Like, it doesn't matter for one. You know, two, you know, sometimes I've told them that I'm an admin in the group and so, but not ever because I was trying to say I'm an admin. It was out of a helping mode, but that shouldn't even matter. And then on another hand, we can get stuck down in 3D and think, well, why didn't they know? Why didn't they know I was an admin? They really could have looked at that, and they could have read Leah's group rules for one to start. And it's about taking, and then people get in this position too. Like, I've tried to get people to be admins of groups. Zureida was really great. She came up with the idea for Pleiadian South Africa, and you know, is definitely a wonderful leader and an admin. But then some of these people that maybe want to be, and that you try to get them to be an admin. Oh God, what do I got to do? An admin? Oh, they get all freaked out when really it's harder to blink your eyes 3 times than be an admin of a group, as far as the actual labor of it. You know what I mean? The frustration can come in when it's what you're talking about, Jane, but it's not like sitting there. I mean, it's not like, you know, like Zureida with being an admin, that it's not like she has to give up her career full time and to sit there and to click on a approve. And, you know, people get hung up in that mentality, and I think they think that they're going into geothermal nuclear engineering or something. I mean,
That's a difficult word.
it's harder to put, but yeah, it really was. It's, you say that fast 3 times, but I mean, it's harder to put on your socks in the morning than to do it. It's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get into 3 of the questions I started with listing on the most asked questions. It's like, when do we ascend? The answer is, we are doing it now. It's happening now, and we are on our way. As awakening people, we are getting more and more aware of the surroundings we are in, grounding to the earth, connecting with the nature, and connecting with the respect to one another, and trying to get better. Not better than anyone else, but better person than you were yesterday, or 1 second ago, or 2 seconds ago, 1 hour ago. So as we get better, a better version of yourself, you are ascending more and more, and you have to sweep in front of your own door instead of looking or caring about how much trouble everyone else is making, because as more love you send out, the more you get back, and the more you awake, and the more you reaching the 5th dimension. It's all about love, and you need to understand this. And also, what are the ascending symptoms? The ascending symptoms is when you have in a broad daylight, when you have had enough sleep, you still feel this headache, and you know you have been showered with lots of energy, like rainbows and northern lights for those who are fortunate enough to have that. And it could be
Brag.
the sun, and the symptoms you get is this headache, the low pressure, the different eyesight, dots and lights, and neck pain, shoulder pain, backache, and you changing sleeping patterns, and the food you were eating yesterday is no longer tasting as good as, and it will turn your, like, from the 17th of May until now, I didn't eat meat or fish. So I'm obviously changing my eating patterns. And it doesn't have anything to do with that I don't I don't feel that. I know Jason was into this. You shouldn't it's no hazard eating meat. but it doesn't resonate with me. I don't any longer want it. I don't need it. I feel heavy having it.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to say one thing, Jane, on that too. You're right. It's not like, okay, I am a vegetarian now, but it's not like I'm going to sit here and go, oh God, I'm a vegetarian. I work so hard to be one. No, my body, believe me, if I had to work to be it, I wouldn't be one. My body don't resonate with it anymore, and I don't want it anymore. And that's just, yeah. But anyway, go on. I wanted to touch upon that and say, yeah, it's just I don't resonate with it anymore, and thank God, because it made it easy to quit.
Yeah, it's not that it's wrong. You just have to listen to your body and act upon it. You just have to listen when the time is right to change your eating patterns or your drinking patterns. You will change. It will just happen. I didn't do anything to make it happen. I just accidentally or I just went to Turkey and it happened. Mm-hmm. It could happen at any time, any day, anywhere, to anyone. I didn't even think it would happen for me because I liked meat, but I felt heavy with it, and I feel so much better having all this vegetables and all this other food now. And so that's happening with me. It might not happen to everyone, and then you just follow your needs. And listen to your body. That's the most important thing you can do, because that is the right, that is the truth, that is the most honest thing you can do to your body. And don't think so much about other people. Just do what you feel is right for you. And I think also, and the next question is, when is the critical mass awakening taking place? It's no date. You will see it when it happens. You might see it also with the fast increasing number getting into the Pleiadian group. That could be one sign of looking into the critical mass. The other thing is that as you are an awakening being, you will feel the pressure from everyone around you. You will see more and more people in shock state. You will see, you will have all these questions coming. You will have people asking you for help, knowing that you are an awakened person, because they can talk to you. They can talk to you about things that they cannot talk with their friends or family with. That is the thing, that people are coming as a mass to you, or in the group you hang out with, and it will happen so fast that we have difficulties to keep up with it. And the thing is that as you meditate and as you find your own peace within you, and as you feel the love, you will also have the energy to be the one with the shoulder to cry on, because you can take it. You're strong enough to take it. That's why I'm so on to the Pleiadian group all the time. Meditate. Be the one. We are the beginning of the group. We're just the tiny beginning, and we are the ones who are going to be the strong ones for that critical mass when it happens.
Exactly. I mean, it's gone from a point where you go from kind of being the black sheep and everybody thinks you're kind of weird, to all of a sudden it's going to happen where people by the masses are going to be wanting help from you, and and you can't hold any resentment or anything to somebody who might not have listened to you before, and and I don't think we do at this point, and it's starting to happen now. The tide's turning a little bit, and I think Zureida mentioned it too with some of her clients, that they're starting to. And it really resonates with them too, and it's just really, it's beneficial to everybody involved, and it's just, I think it's a wonderful thing, and it's a process though. It's not about a big date. It's something happening. This is a process, step by step, we're going through, and as we keep matriculating through it, it picks up speed, and it gets more and more noticeable, and you realize we're really doing this,
Yes, and I think it's very important also, because I've been like a pain in the ass with this meditation stuff. I know it, and before I would think it was weird, but today, knowing that you can, if you try to, I think people want to see the light. They want to see the sunshine. They want to, many people are scared of being in the darkness, and it's very important that you can shut your eyes and try to see what's happening with the inside your eyelids. Try to be in the light and see situation that scares you, just to see how your reactions will be, and welcome it. Don't be so scared. Just open the door, because it will push you to the limits until you open the door. And once you do, you realize that was me. It was my fear. It was me. I'm afraid of myself.
Look in the mirror, exactly.
Yeah, you contain that darkness, and you have to get known to it. You have to be the safe rock that's standing tall when the mass is awakening, because that's going to be a tremendous shock to many people. They will be so scared, and you are the one who is going to calm the situation down for so many people around you. You will be the pillar of what they see, what they are able to see is you in the middle. That's all they dare to see.
Exactly.
That's an image of the situation, how it's going to be.
No question about it. And I think all the resentment will be gone at that point too. It's like it'll be rewarding, and you'll know what you went through, but at the same time you won't have any sadness or regret, like, oh gosh, I had to do this, or I had to go through that, or these people thought I was weird at that time. That kind of thing won't even really enter your consciousness, because you'll be in that now moment to help people and to be the guiding light that you were always meant to be, you know?
The gratitude and the forgiveness, that's also going along with love, because you will forgive because you knew that they didn't know. They didn't understand. You were ahead of these people, and you feel sorry for them not in some bad vibration, but you feel this love. You are welcome. You are forgiven. It is the past. It is, I forgive myself. I forgive everyone else for not knowing. And you will come to the point that you will be so occupied with the situation that all you have is love. And you need to be prepared for the situation to come, because it is coming for sure. Are you there, guys?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. I was just curious, Zureida, what do you? I think Jane pretty much summed it all up on that point. What do you think, Zureida? Do you think do you concur with that, or?
Yes, absolutely. I was just actually thinking that I've in my practice, what I've been seeing in the last few months has been increased anxiety and depression symptoms, but particularly anxiety. And it seems almost like, just going back to some of the ascension symptoms, that it's almost, and I was just playing around with this idea yesterday, that in order for the kind of body system to recalibrate, sometimes we experience these the physical symptoms, but also the emotional symptoms, as a way in which the system's being shaken up in order to recalibrate. And so it's been quite interesting, because I myself, when I've gone through, the part of that recalibration, have had can have very high anxiety and even depressive symptoms. And so what's been interesting is I've just been kind of watching quite a number of my clients going through it. Also a lot of breakups of relationships that are no longer serving, kind of, as people are slowly evolving. And I think a lot of women, as the divine feminine is rising so much more, a lot of women are not tolerating kind of the old patriarchal, misogynist kind of ways of being. And we have quite a lot of that, it's quite stuck here in South Africa. So just to kind of reinforce a lot of what Jane was saying about, the ascension symptoms, watching it happening in other people. And it's been interesting as a therapist to watch the kinds of symptoms that come up. And anxiety is anxiety and depression, but particularly anxiety has been quite an interesting one to observe as people start experiencing some of those symptoms. So very much agree, and also about the, the gratitude and forgiveness, like just that understanding, and sometimes I think it can help a little bit when, for us to kind of go, okay, it's just because they're not getting me because we vibrate at different frequencies, and I think in the past I would try and fit in and kind of get people to understand me, and they didn't, and then that would be worse, or they would judge me or criticize me, and now kind of just going, oh, well, they just don't kind of get where I'm at, but they're cool where they're at, that kind of thing.
You realize, I think that you just really articulated it well, because you start to realize that, you know what, it's not you, it's because they're having issues, and it's not something that you did, it's something within them, and, it's personal,
Absolutely, and I think, a lot of the work I do, it's so important to be aware of your own triggers, just to come to the shadow stuff that Jane was talking about. I see that a lot of stuff I've been working on a lot in myself, but that recognition that we just need to kind of see our shadow as just a part of us and not be so terrified of it. We've created an entire way of being in the world which is terrified of our shadow. We demonize so many things and we split them off from ourselves. And the more we're able to integrate that, the more it helps our ascension process as well,
No, I agree. And Zureida, with the line of work you're in, do you find that kind of since your awakening, are you, before, maybe you went through this in the past, would you take a lot more of your work home with you and wonder why, and wonder, gosh, what did I do wrong? Why, why this? Did you stress on that stuff more than you do now? Like it sounds like you're able to let a little bit more of that go and realize that it's not all on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And actually I find, really when I first started, I did do a little bit of that more, because you feel so kind of, consciously incompetent as you kind of learning as a therapist. But I find that stuff I don't take on as much. And that's been for quite a while. I do it a lot more in my personal relationships. That's where my learning curve is.
Me too. I know. Again, those relationships, like you said, going through that right now, and especially a lot of us, it's not a good or bad thing, but we're with a partner that we're not vibing on the same level, and I think we're starting to get that. That's why relationships aren't working out, and you're right, exactly. And I think that's the story. Is it's exactly that, the vibing on that, and it's sure difficult, isn't it?
Well, it really is difficult. Also, kind of most recently had a very, very contrasting relationship with, and confronting one with someone who was very firmly, kind of stuck in 3D and started just criticizing me and putting me down a lot, which was, difficult. As I was saying earlier about even when we when it's our loved ones, when it's the people we think are our family, it can be incredibly difficult, to deal with. And I actually was talking to one of my clients about this, and we kind of came up with quite a fun thing of just saying, sometimes when you vibrate at a faster frequency than other people, they can't even see you, so you may even seem like invisible to them.
Or hear you talk. I was talking
Exactly.
with somebody about this last night, and you know what, Zureida, you're right. Have you ever felt like you're in a conversation and it's like, okay, you almost wonder, are they ignoring me? Did they not hear me talking too?
Exactly.
And you wonder what the hell, and it's like, yeah, or then, in the past you might have felt like, God, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And then you realize some of these people too, they can't handle your high vibration.
Exactly. I used to feel invisible in my family for a long time. And I often say that it's like, hello, am I here? Can anybody actually see me?
Yeah.
And I finally have a way to understand that, and it has made such a difference. Just from my own kind of emotional kind of development and psychological development, if we were to use those words, it just kind of like, oh, it's just because nobody could see me.
Exactly. And you know what, it's one of them things too, like we all went through that, and until we knew this, it's not something you'd want to talk about or mention. You try to forget that it happened in each conversation you were in like that. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? And then I'd start to wonder, is my voice not loud enough? Am I, yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. No, I was just going to say, Jane mentioned about, when you're growing up being a truth teller, and I was also very much a truth teller, but because I was the youngest in the family, I got bullied a lot. So I just went quiet. and it's taken me quite a long time to reconnect with that, that voice, and so that's been a big part of my my journey. And I've just forgotten the other point I was going to make, so it's fine.
Well, what I was going to say is too. I know Jane grew up with 2 siblings. I'm an only child actually. And how many siblings did you grow up with, Zureida, in your home?
I've got one older surviving sibling, and then a brother who was also older than me, who was stillborn.
Okay, so you had so you guys both had siblings. Yeah, I didn't have them. So basically, I spent a lot of time alone because my parents worked nights, and so I kind of had that. But I had cousins that were like brothers and sisters, and it was kind of that same relationship. They always were the ones that did right, and it wasn't even like that they were favored over me. It's just that, I don't know, maybe it was just my imagination, but it just always felt like, there was always an excuse made why they couldn't do something right, and, I was always expected to, I don't know, to hold the light like I should have. Maybe they were looking for that light in me and in us, and we just didn't know that we were supposed to have it, and they didn't understand what they were looking for. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complicated. Jane Hermstad in the land of the all evolving Alcyone sun. What was the next? I know you said 3 things. I know we're kind of running late here. Let's hit one more topic, and then we can reconvene for another time.
Yeah, I just want to say that the situations you're into and the path that you're walking in through your life, it's like all the situation, it will call you until you realize that you welcome it. It's hard to move out of your comfort zone, and that is when magic is happening. To act with the highest excitement to all given times, it will give you so much more if you dare to do it. But we are so much into the 3D belief system that we think that, oh my God, if I do that, the consequence would be that. And that's what I learned. Try to do it differently. Try to think differently about it. Try to move out of your comfort zone and see what happens. Do you know what? We don't fall off the planet. We are in the planet, and we don't fall off into the vastness of the universe. Doing whatever we do, we will still be on the planet, and you will be provided for because you have that vibration. You hold that frequency, and you will not be left alone. There will always be people around you, unless you're lost in the nature. And if you are, you might experience something. There is a reason why you are at the place you are in all given times. And yeah, we pretty much answered the star family and how to find out if you're Pleiadian, Arcturian, Andromedian, vegan, whatever you want to find out. You can find out. But I can assure you, whatever you are looking for, and you will find that you have traits of every kind of being. That means being a human being is not like being on a kindergarten coming here to Earth. You are very special starseed. Mm-hmm. There is beings that would give anything to come to this Earth, and us. I'm just trying to get into also what Zureida is saying, because she said that one of her brothers was stillborn. That is a dip into the human being, because that is a human being within the womb of the mother, and that is also an experience of being a human being. That is to give the mother an experience. So that had a purpose too.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's very important to understand that we are very special coming here. It's a master degree, and even higher. We are ascending to much higher level than you can really comprehend. So
it's like a triple PhD.
Yeah.
What was that, Zureida? Can you repeat? Yeah, go ahead. Repeat that point, Zureida.
So I was just going to say it's like a triple PhD.
Yes, starting off from way under preschool. Yes, going to yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we are coming here to make a difference. We are really making a difference by really only being. You can sit in your living room, and the vibration you hold and the frequency you are in will make a difference. It will radiate to other people and to the vastness of the universe. Remember that you are very important as just by being. And to the next question, how does different ET looks like, and how many are there?
Oh, good Lord!
Oh my God, it is too much to count, and there is so many planets, and most of them holds life, and even intellectual life, and there is different looks. If you can imagine in your dream, seeing different creatures like dinosaurs flying with strange eyes and nose and mouth, and you can just whatever you can imagine, a mixture of all the beings that you can ever imagine. That is how how different ET looks like.
It is, and it's so vast too that even human planets that may even look exactly like us, there's probably only 1,000,000,000,000 times infinity of those out there, and then another 1,000,000,000,000 times infinity, and then all the dimensions that are out there, and it's endless. It's endless, but isn't it funny? Then at the end of it all, it's just one creator source that's just never-ending expansion.
It's one consciousness, yes.
Yeah, it's never ending, but never starting or beginning, and it's just really, and that's a good thing to touch on. It's like it's such a question to ask. It's like, well, how many ET? I got this question a couple weeks ago, and I know we're running short on time, but it's like this guy asked me two things. He asked me how many ET races I thought were on Earth, and then he asked me how many Pleiadians I thought were here. And it's like even just the Pleiadian one, there's endless collectives of Pleiadians here in higher dimensions, incarnated as humans, and then just pure life. It's all around us in so many higher, it's not just in front of us, but it's in so many dimensions. It's how do you, I mean, I can't think of any more how could you possibly even fathom to begin to answer that?
It's a difficult answer, but also it's very simple. Make it everything simple. Make everything, every question, whatever you do, make it simple. That's what the source wants, to make it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. How many different looks do they have? The answer is love it. Just love it, because that is everything that is.
Exactly. Unless Zureida want to take a stab at that. Zureida, how many different life forms do you think are in the cosmos? How many Pleiadian collectives do you think are here? How many?
An infinity. There's no answer. I think that's also trying to bring it into a more limited kind of third-dimensional understanding, even trying to begin answering that question.
Yes, God, you said it and articulated it that way. It's exactly it. How can you? And it's just limiting it by even going there and thinking that. And now I realize the angst I feel of getting a question like that. I'll sit there and look at it and go like, okay, I could give a real simple answer, or where would I even start is my problem. It's like, where would I even start? Because I'm going to be all over the goddamn board if I try to go there with it. And it's like,
I think it's a very interesting question. How can you ever begin answering it? Because you can. Because you are that good. Because you are that superior. Because you are all that. That's why you can answer it. You can answer that. It's the vastness. You already did answer it. There is no beginning. There is no end. There is just imagination, and you can use it, and it appears. And what appears exists. Period.
Yeah, those are those kind of questions I yell for Jason Wilson on, because he'll get in there and explain it to him in a sweet way, like why what you just said, and I'm still sitting there trying to think of where the hell I'm going to start. Am I going to start in the Precambrian era, or am I going to start in the Mesozoic era. Oh my God.
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
The answer is
You can do anything. You can do anything. There is no limit to what you can do. And also there is a question of, is there bad beings and in different galactical planets, good and bad? Yes, there is good and bad. There is good and bad Pleiadians from that constellation, and Arcturians, and there is good and bad in everything. It's duality.
It is duality, and really outside duality, it's really like it's more than just a black or what. It's an agenda based. It's like the Crayola color. I always use this analogy. You get the 64 color crayons of the Crayola. Take black and white out of there. It's not just this or it's that. The truth is usually somewhere in all those shades, and then all the shades of those. It's not just this or it's not just that. You know what I mean? It's so vast and so intricate on every level, any scenario that you're ever in.
I'm thinking about I'm sitting here thinking about myself. How bad can I be? How, in all this loving feeling, how dark and bad can I be? And it's that too. Doesn't mean that okay, if a person this is really going to trigger your mind, because if I think that I'm going to kill a person, is that a bad thing? Yes, in our belief system, that is a bad thing. But if it happens, it will be an experience for other people, for the person who is killed, family, and all the friends and everything. But that is an experience, and for those people that happens to, isn't it strange that they go on and forgive a person who killed my son, for instance?
Mm-hmm.
I think you could go on a 3D talk show in America and present that philosophy and see how popular you are. No, but I mean...
No, but what I want to get to the point of is that you have I wouldn't say you have a dark side, but does every dark side have to be bad? I don't think so. I don't think you could see the light without knowing the darkness.
No, I agree. And in my younger days, I know this will completely shock you, Jane, but I may have been referred to as a bad boy a time or two. I know that's going to really surprise a lot of people because it is shocking, you know. But you know,
Very shocking.
It's surprising. I know. Yes, I've always been the choir boy that's never done anything wrong. But at the same time, I mean, it is an experience, Jane, and you're right. And we're in an era now where, like what you just said, you can explain that and tell people that it's an experience. I was just laughing because I would have liked to seen you go on a talk show about 20 years ago and say that, you know, and try to sell that one to people.
Would you believe out of one bad experience as someone getting killed, there is coming so much good feelings?
It's true.
How is that happening? So how is it that you get so much love and so much attention and so much good things out of one bad thing? So it has to be a reason.
There is. When you can start to see the river through the trees, you know, you understand that there is. And which, you know, then again, in a 3D world, I'm not hoping for that to happen to anybody. I mean, I wouldn't choose to want to go through it, but if I did, I would realize that it was part of a greater good. But yeah, you're not saying, Jane, that you want to go ahead and go through that right now, are you? Though?
No, of course not. No, of course not, because that would be far out of my comfort zone, and I don't think that's a good thing to do. But that's me in the belief system again. But we have to understand that there is one reality, but there is a reason for everything that's happening. We just have to dare to go there and have those thoughts in our minds. I'm thinking about the next question. It's like politics and religion. Oh, that's big things.
Exactly. Why don't we hit that one really hard, you guys, and then we're. But let's get in. Let's get into that politics and religion, Jane. Yeah, go there.
Governments on Gaia. Where do we end and what do we do? What are the Pleiadians' take on the issue? Okay, we'll go there. I'll try to be as short as I can. Politics and religion is there to disturb the thought of love. As simple as. The governments is the people in each country. We don't need the boundaries. We don't need. There is no boundary. If you go by plane, you cannot see the boundaries. It's no red line drawn anywhere. You cannot see the difference between Norway and Sweden and South and
You know, people may laugh, Jane, but I looked for that when I didn't fly for the first time till I was 23, and I actually had this thought that I could look down at these states as I'm going through Oregon, Idaho. I mean, it's like I thought, okay, am I going to see it? Trust me, people, you can't see it.
No, but still we have it in our reality, in our mind. When we place our feet on the ground, we see, we get to any community, we see the governments, we see the politics. And someone wants to have the authority and the power over something, and we need to have a system that is how it is. But we also need to understand that as you are into a government, you get this title again, which means power. And when you have this power, it's really puzzling me, because the people are their government. They can raise and do something about it. So why are you sitting there having all these questions when you can do something about it? Question everything. Dare to go there. It's people. It's just people. The people that's running your country, that's just people. They're born into this world as you and me, naked, toothless. And they cannot do you any harm. They think that they're doing the right thing for you, and you voted for these people. Go and tell them that I don't want this anymore. It doesn't resonate with a lot of the people, and you need to be asking questions. You need to also dare to go there and say so. If you want a change, be the change that you want to see.
Exactly. Yeah, one person can't make a difference, but as a collective, the more as a collective we do that and demand that, it's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, I had a very good friend of me. She was going into therapy, and the therapist asked her, "Do you think you can change the world?" And she said, "Yes." And obviously the therapist thought she was crazy. It's a long time ago. And she said, I'm here, so I'm changing the world every day. I'm changing everyone around me just by being. And she was so right. She was so ahead of her time and right in what she was saying. You just have to try. You just have to do it. As long as you don't do it and just sit there, you cannot do anything. Nothing is happening. Make it happen. Do something about it. And
Yeah.
it's your job. You can do something.
The chain reaction you set off, you know, you think, well, what can I do? What am I doing? But you don't realize the effect you're having just even by looking at somebody. That sets off a reaction. And then you get into this 6 degrees of separation, even a couple of degrees of separation, and my God, it's endless, and it just shows we're all connected when you connect the dots everywhere like that, because, you know, you go far enough and you come right back to yourself.
Collective meditation has that power. You know, when you meditate on peace and love and giving someone hope and radiate love collectively, you are in fact changing the situation, and it has been monitored also to just see if it has any effect, and it really has effect, big time, and for a long time also, for several days after the meditation have taken place. So, and also about drugs. Drugs like DMT and different other drugs. Also, using drugs is like it's there to help you. It's there to teach you how to tap into a situation where you can see, where you can connect with yourself and connect with your third eye, the pineal gland, and it's there to just teach you how to do it all by yourself because you hold the drugs within you. You are made up of it. It's the substance within you. So
You're talking about herbal drugs, right? You're not talking about, say, like you're not talking about like Vicodin or Xan. Well, Vicodin is an opiate, so actually it's natural too. But like something like a Xanax or diazepam, lorazepam, you know, the benzodiazepines.
Natural drugs that you find in the nature that you are also made up of. It's what you are, what you have inside of you.
I'll tell you, some of these attention symptoms, I sure as hell wouldn't mind some Xanax though, or some Valium at times. But yeah, good.
Yeah, it's a substance that you're made of. You have it. It's there, dormant within you, in your brain, but you cannot connect with it. It's hard to connect. It takes time, and if you want a fast way of learning how to do it, it's about misuse and use.
Well, I'm American. We want a quick fix.
Yeah, if you use it with the right intentions, just to learn how to tap into your own system, and then you can do it for sure. But if you use it because you want to get out of or away from things, that's the time when the misuse, because it's an easy way to get away from the pain and the hurt that you are supposed to connect with.
Well, as an American, I don't resonate with that. I've never heard of such a thing. We we don't look for the quick fix here.
Yeah.
It is like, yeah, right. What?
I'll get you out of there. You can come to my country. You will see a different
I know.
reality.
If I don't laugh about it, it's almost kind of sad. And
you have to cope with the reality, Larry, and it's going to be real hard for you because that's the real thing, you know, and that's the real drug as well. If I told you that you can find it in the woods, would you come?
Yeah, you know, yes, and I realize, you know, yes, and I'm at the point where I realize all that and stuff like that. I'm just kind of, you know, throwing a little humor in there, but yeah, I'm so used to being in a culture where it's so out of sight, out of mind, Jane, to think about this natural stuff that you're talking about. And I know some people are going to go, well, I do, but I mean, as a mass collective in America, we're so plastic. We're so plastic with everything, and everything is just a quick fix and just to numb our mind and whatever, you know, and it's just how it is. And it's not even if you don't even use any drugs or anything like that. It's just that whether it's with TV or use your imagination. It's America. You could win the lottery and go to Utopia and get your head blown off all in one day and every day. I mean, it's the best and the worst, you know. I mean, or maybe.
Yeah, I was going into the food and the water. You know, food and water. We have been talking about food a little bit.
America.
But water, I'm going to do some answer on this also about water. Water has memory. Some have seen this video on the research and the science that has taken place already
You can purify a glass of water. You can think the intentions out of it. In fact, Greg Prescott, who runs In5D Radio, did the best indigo children video that I've ever seen a few years ago. And in part of that, it talks about your intentions towards a glass of water and the cellular memory, and you can, you know, your positive, loving thoughts can purify that water. And, you know, I mean, this is a reality. This isn't just something that he decided to make up and throw on there to, You know, I mean, this is pure consciousness, divine thought, truth, you know?
Every time I take a glass of water, I'm pouring love into it, and I'm making sure it's coming from my heart. It's not like I'm thinking love and drink it. It's like I need to connect with the thought. I need to connect with the feeling of it. I need to resonate and giving it sound by saying it, by saying I love you and meaning it from the bottom of my heart and feeling connected with the water, and being grateful for what you're drinking. That really purifies the water. And you can also use other things in your water if you don't believe in the sound or the thought. You can use lemon into the water, and it will purify the water as well.
Bleach?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, we sell these things here, though, for people that go camping. They're called water purification tablets, and I've always wondered, it makes the water turn brown, and it's like, yeah, I'd rather use a lemon. I don't know what in the hell those things are, but it's probably making the water worse than it was before.
Yeah, it could be. You need to know what you put into your water, and coming from the nature and coming from yourself, that is the purest thing you can ever have. That's the purest thing you can ever add into the water. I'm reading now the number 9 of the questions, and I see that I've been writing diseases, medications, syndromes, and by that I was thinking about all the people in this world that has a disabled reality. They're born into this world with coming short of different things, gaining diseases during life, and I think that there is a great purpose coming into this life and having that experience, and also we need to think about what these people are going to teach us, because they are teaching us so many things. Being disabled or not being as intellectual as other people, comparing, it means that they came here to teach us something. They came here to teach us love.
And
Because
that's
if
the
you don't
humbleness of it,
love,
yes.
yes, who do you get more love from? A person that is not on your intellectual level is giving you more love than you can see your friends dare to give you, openly, in front of everyone.
No, I'd rather have somebody be condescending and talk down to me all the time. No,
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
they dare more, and they're more open with love. They're more connected with their heart, and they show it more than other people dare to, because they're into a belief system that we don't usually do that. Because and this people that is not on your intellectual level is not into that belief system. They don't know about it. So all they show you is love. How can you say no to something like that? It's
Exactly.
really amazing.
Belief systems cut us off, I think, too, from our, and you make kind of a good point that I'm thinking of, belief systems cut us off from our quantum physical self, our multidimensional self. A belief system, sorry, it's late here, or early, how you want to look at it, but it really shuts us off from that higher self and everything that is. You know, we get stuck in a mundane belief system, and we really are boxed in if we're stuck in that, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, you hit the. Yeah, you really nailed that one. Yeah, that's my point. Thank you, Larry.
Well, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome. Yes, welcome. Muy welcome. If that sounded right. But I think that, you know, Jane, it'd be really interesting for the three of us to kind of maybe even have a part two and touch on the other half of them. So it's like we got through 9 right there. Do you have a number 10 right there, or is this kind of, you feel this should be like the halfway point, or?
No, I totally agree with you. I think we should do a number 2 session here, because it's from number 10 to 20. It's also a lot to cover up with.
But if we're going to go halfway, I was just thinking in simple math, why don't we just do it? Why don't we go ahead and do 2 shows, and what we'll do is do half and half, and so let's hit on number 10, Jane, and then we'll say our goodbyes to the audience. So let's tackle number 10, and Jane, I'm going to have you go into it, and then Zureida, I'm going to have you kind of follow up on whatever number 10 is. I'll be surprised. I don't have the list in front of me. So Jane, surprise us with number 10, or give us one of the other issues from the list.
Yeah, the other issue is nature disasters, nature in growth, and the elements and harmony. And by the elements, I'm thinking about the earth, the water, fire, and air. And another element is also the divine, the divinity. That is also one thing I strongly want to discuss when it comes to nature, because that is so close to the nature, and it holds the vibrations close to the nature. So I want to bring in the star, the 5-pointing star, that holds those elements, is sign of those elements to me and to my heart. It closes up with my heart. I don't know what take you have on it, Larry, or do you?
I'm still contemplating. Zureida, why don't you go ahead and respond to that?
Yes, no, I love the idea of the star. Actually, adding the divine as the 5th element, I think, is really beautiful, Jane. I was just smiling and nodding as you were talking. I love the star symbol because my name actually means star. To digress. So yes, I love it. I love that idea completely, and I agree with you.
That's a good point. I had never, Jane, because I was sitting there thinking about it, and I had never really thought of that before. I thought of those other 4 elements, and that 5th, that kind of odd number, that ties it all together really for that. And I don't know what more I can add to that, Jane. I mean, do you have any other further thoughts on that?
Yeah, if you can see my picture on this talk, I'm carrying my star. That is also a sign that I am into. I was into this pagan stuff, and I'm also going to talk. We agreed on having a show on my book of shadows and the witchcraft and what I'm deeply into. That doesn't mean that there is that's a play with nature and divinity. And people need to understand that we're coming back to that later. But playing with the elements and nature, we have to know that nature doesn't have any disaster. It has change. It has a change, a slow change. And much of the nature disasters today are human-made, or not human-made. What we say is that it's human-made. But there is other creatures disturbing the nature from growing, from having a natural growth. And it's a huge impact on the system, because this is not how the nature naturally acts. We are cutting down the nature, many trees in areas that holds many medications. It's football fields. It's a very large number being cut down, and I am amazed by knowing this, because it hurts my soul deep into the core of my heart. because that is what we are supposed to be close to. This is what Gaia is giving us. And this is not natural. It's not natural to do that. It's natural to whatever you take from the nature, you need to pray. You need to give something back. And I'm thinking about all these football fields that's going every hour, every day, every time. There is no one giving back something to Gaia for what she's giving, or he is giving, whatever kind of male, female energy you want to put
Unisexual,
into it.
yeah.
Because Gaia is the powerful, natural, living being, and has both strength, like male strength, and it has the strength of a woman and female energy as well. And I think we need to get closer to have a look at what the nature, the power of the nature can do. You are really very small as a human being compared to the nature out in the sea, in the storm, in the wind. It can blow you over. You can burn down. You can be swallowed by the sea and the water. So here is very powerful elements in play with each other, and this is supposed to be natural. They're playing with each other, having the respect for each other. I've catched myself moving the clouds. That is not allowed to do. You are not to play with the nature like that. But no, I didn't know that I could do that. So I have to do it again just to make sure that I really did it.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for a while and thinking, okay, when can I do it again? Yeah, I would just wait 5-10 minutes and I'll do it again. And I was watching the clock and I was doing it again. And I was quite amazed of what kind of powers I was tapping into. I was tapping into the energy, the waves of the energy, the frequency and the vibrations of the nature. I was playing together with divine beings on this, and I was at the time when I was doing this, I was having a realization that, oh my God, you can do it, but you're not supposed to. You shouldn't have any conflict with it. You shouldn't play with it. You should let it be alone. You can see how powerful you are. Play along with the nature. Be one with it. Give and take. That is the nature of the human being also.
Because free will comes into that too, exactly.
Yes. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that exactly. And Zureida, before we go ahead and wrap up, did you have anything you want to expand on that, or did you...
I think I just wanted to add on to what Jane was saying, is that, talking about the power of your ability to use the energy waves and move the clouds, is also just then comes back to, as much as we know humans have been such a destructive force on Gaia and have hurt the planet so much, we as awakening beings have the power to bring so much healing as well, and not to forget that is a force and a powerful force as well that we can more consciously utilize. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I thank both you ladies for being on this show with me. It's been great, and this is part one, and of course it'll be exciting to get back into part two, and we can talk about a time to do that here later, because actually on the Pleiadian Express Productions there is no time. We don't operate on a schedule, so sometime within the next week or few days we'll get back together and we'll convene on those other 10 issues. And Jane, did we go down those issues 1 through 10, or did you skip around? Because what I was thinking was I was going to just forward Zureida a copy of the other 10 issues that we may go over, that we're going to go over next time. Did you go 1 through 10 on?
Yes, now I went to 1 1 to 10, but before I did that, we touched a lot of subjects that's coming also from 11 to 20.
Cool.
So we have touched some of it, and yeah, so.
We're all over the board. You know how starseeds are, especially Pleiadian. We're all over the board. Okay, so every time when I wrap up the show, you know, what I want to do is go ahead and, Jane, if I could ask you first, where can everybody find you on the internet or on Facebook? If people want to get in touch with Jane, where would they go to? Groups, you know, sites. Give yourself a plug and let everybody know out there in Facebook land and in Cyberville where they can find you.
They can find me on Pleiadians, and they can also find me on the Arcturians, AWW World One, We Are One, and Marco Bianco's sites where the Arcturians is. I will be there, and also I can be looked up on my profile, on my name, Jane Hermstad. And yeah.
And you're there. And Zureida, where can anybody find you on Facebook if they were interested in maybe friending you, or you know, just wanted to say, hey, where can you be found lurking in the depths of Facebook?
In the ether.
Yeah.
I can also be found in the Pleiadian group, and then thanks to you, I'm also admin on the Pleiadian South African group, so you can find me there. If you Google me, I think a little bit of stuff comes up on some of the writing I've done as a psychotherapist. And I also have a page on Facebook, which is a little bit dormant, but I'll get to reigniting it, and it's called Truth Seer. So you can find me there as well.
Awesome. And of course, I know everybody's heard the spill from me a million times. You can find me on the Leah Shapiro's Mothership Pleiadians group. You can find me in my personal group, the Fringe Thinkers. That's Fringe, not French. I've also am associated with, well, one of them is the group that Zureida admins for, Pleiadian South Africa, but we've also got about 16 other regional groups like that. You can also find me on my pages, the Pleiadian Light Grid Project, Pleiadian Woodstock, and the one I created the other night through Consciousness from the Pleiadians, Pleiadian Disco 70s culture, and that one talks about a lot of the culture that the Pleiadians influenced for us in the 70s, Billy Meyer, Semyasi, disco, the colors, things like that. They can find me at all those pages. You can also find me at the Cosmic Awakening site, which is the page for the great Michelle Walling and my radio show on n5d.com. Our sponsor for that is the great Greg Prescott, and that show airs Thursday nights at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Central in the United States, and then actually it's rebroadcast over most of the Facebook groups if you want to take a look at after that. And it's late here and I'm rambling on, and I just wanted to thank you ladies again, and we're going to go ahead and call it a night, and we will reconvene at another time and we'll go from there. And ladies, thank you very much, and that is a wrap, and we're out. Wherever you may be in the cosmos, much love to everybody out there, as we are all one. Namaste, peace, light, and love.